Hey everyone, I hope you're doing super well. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite plants and certainly my favorite alocasia, the Alocasia Frydek, and how I stumbled upon this beauty. That's happening right now. Let's be honest, many of us will check out plants at big box stores like a Home Depot's or Lowe's. I happen to be in a Home Depot, and I have to say, this July, with plants growing as large as they are, some excellent selections. And that's exactly where I found this beauty here, this Alocasia Frydek. This is such a massive plant. A massive Alocasia Frydek, and I'm so excited because it's so beautiful. I love its velvety leaves, and the thing I love most about it is the price tag that I found this for, which was $29.98. Can you believe it? For this large of an Alocasia Frydek, $29.98. Now, mind you, I do have an Alocasia Frydek, and I have owned it for about 6 months. I ordered it online and couldn't find any really in the Denver area, so that's where I had to turn to, was online. You know how much I paid for it? I paid $45 without including shipping and handling. You know how big that plant was? This big. Compared to this, I mean, I had to go with this, right? I mean, I just love this plant so much. And as soon as I saw it, I had to scoop it up. So what we're going to do is we are going to repot it because the soil that is typically found inside of plants at big box stores is only meant to keep the plant alive for about 2-3 months, keep it healthy, but this plant needs some chunky aroid soil, so that's what we're going to do. So let's get to some repotting. So with repotting the Alocasia Frydek, I was mulling over this as I was at Home Depot again, and I was thinking about getting like a terracotta pot to put it in, but I decided, because they do like to stay a little bit moist but have that well-draining chunky aroid soil. So what I did was I ended up getting like a big plastic pot that'll be perfect for it, and with that chunky aroid soil mix inside here, it'll be well draining, but it'll still keep it a little bit more moist just because of the fact that this is plastic and not terracotta, where, you know, it'll dry through. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this inside of a wicker basket that I got. So first things first, I need to loosen up this pot here, which hopefully should be easy. And I really wanted to get this. Usually I would wait like, oh gosh, a week or so before repotting one of these. I'm waiting just a day because the soil that they have it in is really soaked, and I don't want this baby to die from root rot. So I'm going to swap it out. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much damage. My apartment is perfect conditions for this. I mean, a plant like the Alocasia Frydek likes medium to bright indirect light. This plant is native to the Philippines, and it is in a very humid area, so it really thrives at like 70% humidity. I'm going to give it 60 because that's what I do, and I'm not going to go above that because it'll be uncomfortable. But it is a beautiful plant, and once you get used to alocasias, because they can be a little bit finicky and tough to deal with if you've never really dealt with one before, but once you get the hang of them, they're actually really easy. You water them basically after the first like 25% of the top layer of soil is dry. And so this boy here, yeah, I definitely need to get it out of this soil. That's my big concern. When I was at that Home Depot, I had never seen even a little Alocasia Frydek there before. Now I've seen other kinds of Alocasia, like Alocasia polys, etc. there. But this was the first time I had seen a Frydek, let alone a gigantic Frydek like this. So really, I had to get it. I was expecting the price to be, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks, in which case I probably still would have bought it because I love this plant. But as soon as I saw 29, I'm like, sold. I will take it. And what I do love about this plant, like with other plants, is its foliage. I love those African mask type leaves. And what I love the most about this kind is the fact that they're velvety. They're so soft, and it's just beautiful. And what a beautiful specimen. There were 2 of these plants left at that Home Depot. Both were in good condition, but I went for this one because, I don't know, you just kind of saw it, and I fell in love with it. So, man, yeah, this is just wet, 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 wet soil. So the roots look good, which is the good news. But we need to break apart this soil because it's too wet. And I'm going to try to do that carefully without having this plant fall apart because there are new leaves that are emerging. Now, if you are unfamiliar with like alocasia or other plants with foliage that is velvety and soft, you have to be cognizant and keep an eye out for plant pests because who loves alocasias the most? Spider mites, the evil spider mites. What I did was when I got this plant yesterday, I was staying over at my boyfriend's and I brought it there. I didn't put it anywhere near any of his plants. I kept it downstairs where there aren't any plants. And then what I did was I brought it out on the patio and I sprayed it down with neem oil just as a preventative measure. I always recommend to people when they are purchasing plants, not just at regular plant shops, but especially at big box stores like a Home Depot or Lowe's, to really look through the plant, look underneath its foliage, look on its stems, any part of the plant, just to see if you notice anything that's off. And what I mean by off is, like in the case of spider mites, you would look to see if there's any webbing around the leaves or in between this part of the leaf. Because I'll tell you, I do that on a regular basis, and I find quite often some webs. And if I do see that, or if I see something like a mealybug, I will automatically put that plant down. Now, plants at big box stores are very susceptible to having pests on them because they're all shipped together. And when you look around at those plants in those big box stores, they're all bundled up together. So if one plant has pests on it and it's butted up against a ton of other plants, then those pests are going to jump from plant to plant. So when you first get a plant from a plant shop, regardless of whether or not it's a big box store or a boutique plant shop or a rare plant shop, even a plant shop that is credible, that you trust, that you really like, it's always in good practice to take the plant and isolate it away from any of your other plants for about a week or two. Constantly check in on it just to see if you notice anything off, if you notice any pests, or if the plant's just acting funky. After about 2 weeks or so, and you notice things are fine, then it's good to add into your collection. But trust me when I tell you, do this, because early on in my plant journey, I did not. I would buy a plant that I liked, I wouldn't even wash its leaves off, and I would just plop it right into my collection. And what did I learn, folks, by doing that? Well, I learned the hard way that you will deal with a pest infestation. I happened to get a Anthurium warquianum, the queen Anthurium, and this was 2 years ago. And I purchased it off of Etsy. And the plant comes in, looks beautiful. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait to really just put this up against this part of my living room because it's going to look so pretty around the rest of my other plants. And I did that. And what happened? Well, you ever hear of a little pest called aphids? Well, they are a pain in the butt to deal with. They are perhaps the worst plant pest outside of spider mites that one will deal with, because the way that those pests are created is that they don't need to mate in order to reproduce. They are able to reproduce on their own. So I had an infestation breakout of them, and they went over, gosh, probably 24 of my plants. And I didn't know how to deal with them or treat them at the time. It took me a while, and I stressed out like there was no tomorrow. I have a book that is from the 1990s, and it is my favorite plant book. I will pull it up here before the end of the video, and it teaches you everything that you could possibly want to know about plant care, certain species, especially if you have your plants indoors, what some hacks are, some tips and tricks to keeping them healthy, how they thrive, and this and that. The only piece of information I could find about helping me with that aphid situation was dropping the temperature in your home down. I forget what it was, something to like 60, 55 degrees, which the lowest I will ever go in my apartment is 67 degrees, which is pretty chilly for tropical plants. And so I was afraid that in trying to kill off these aphids, that I was going to accidentally kill off some of my rare tropical plants. But I had no other option because, the infestation was growing and I didn't know what to do. So I dropped the temperature down, and fortunately, that did do the trick. And it was a scary and stressful situation. And rarely do I let new plants into my collection anymore, into my home. This is the first one in months, and it will be the last one for a long while because I will not risk my plants dealing with that ever again. And I also don't want to deal with it because, oh my God, it was so stressful. When you have such a large plant collection, like I do, over 100 plants, I'll tell you, and when you care about them, when you have an emotional connection to your plants, and then you see that they're struggling and there's nothing you can do, it's scary and it's stressful. And I just remember it exhausting me like crazy. And so never again, never again, never again. All right, I was able to get a good chunk of this soil off. And so what I'm going to do is run over to the sink really quickly and wash off a little bit more of this dirt before we start to repot it back up. So I'll be back in a second. Alrighty, it has been washed off. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, first I want to show you these roots because they are very healthy. Look at those lovely, lovely roots. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to move this out of the way. My hallway is gonna be a mess, but so am I. I'm gonna put down a little base layer of some chunky aeroid soil mix. What I love about this, and I picked it up from Reroot here in Denver, is it's already mixed together, and it's an aeroid Hoya mix, perfect for this plant. It is a mix of peat moss, cocoa coir nuggets, pine bark, horticultural charcoal, perlite, and worm castings, which is worm poop, because that is excellent nutrition for these plants. I mean, to each their own. Plants need to fill this up a little bit more, and this is probably just a little bit bigger than the pot that it came in, but at the same time, the pot that it came in, the roots are starting to stick out of the bottom, so this will be a good little addition. I'm going to take some of my root and hormone powder, and I'm going to powder the roots just as a preventative measure to safely transfer this plant over, and hopefully the roots will take to the new soil. There are a lot of roots in here, so I think we're in good shape. Okay, so we got that. We've got that, and now let me see if I plop it down. Does it have enough space? I still need to put in another layer. Just a little bit too tall. That's okay, though. So I picked up an extra large bag. I was thinking ahead, and I normally do not. I'm really bad at things like this, but alas, I actually thought today for once in my life. Okay, there we go. Bump, 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 bump. Get in there, roots. Don't attach to the side. Cool. Is that still? Oh my golly, maybe just a little bit more. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that should be good. Okay, put that in there. And there we go. There we go, plant. Aw, it's so cute. Super cute. Okay, so now I'm going to fill up around the sides, as is tradition, as you're supposed to when you repot a plant. It's just how it is, folks. But I'm curious because I love to read all of your guys' comments, and you guys have some really great comments and questions and even advice about plants that I'm talking about in these videos. But I wonder, what is your experience like with alocasia? Do you like them? Do you find them difficult? Do you find them easy? And do you have any hacks, like care tips, that you'd like to share with everybody, because trust me, I would like to know what your care tips are. Because I've only started growing alocasia within the last year, but I've fallen in love with them. I had been resistant to them for the longest time, just for the sole fact of what I was talking about earlier, that they are pest magnets. But you know, the prettiest plants, best plants always are. So you kind of just have to live with it, deal with it, learn from it. I do know this: alocasia, like Anthurium, are very heavy feeders. So what I like to do when I'm watering my alocasia is I tend to put in a little bit of fish fertilizer into the water, mix it in, and it is fantastic. Like the plants, the alocasias, the Anthuriums, they absolutely love it and thrive. And that's what I like to see my plants do, is thrive and be healthy and happy. And I hope that this baby will be happier in this new pot with this new soil, instead of that super wet, whatever the heck that stuff was. It was like mostly peat moss, but it was soaked and it was going to take a while to dry. So now that I have it potted up, what I'm planning on doing, and I'll just go grab it really quickly to show y'all, because I don't like plastic containers, and I also really don't care for the look of terracotta. It's great for plants, don't get me wrong, terracotta is, but at the same time, I'm just not a big fan of it. So what I've been doing is I've been taking like baskets or little crates and boxes, and I've been putting in terracotta and plastic bins into here, and so that helps create a really cute, beautiful little design. So it looks a little bit different. And I do that with crates too, because they're so cheap, and it really adds to the decor and the feel, look, and the vibe of your home. So now that I have this all potted up and good to go, I'm going to give it a good watering, and then I'm going to put it in an area that is medium to bright indirect light, and an area that also gets a lot of humidity. So again, if you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. And as always, thank you so much for checking out my videos, and check out the next ones, because I really love having you guys tag along in this journey, because I learn a lot from you folks, and hopefully you learn something from me. Thanks so much.